You want to know a secret? I hardly ever read a sales page before I buy a course or before I even buy a retreat with someone. So, why is that? It's because usually by the time I get to the sales page, I already have a pretty good idea of whether or not I want to buy it, whether or not I want to work with that person. And usually I kind of feel like I already know them. I've been listening to their podcast, reading all their emails, following them on social media, and I might have already chatted with them in the DMs. And so I'm running a little bit of an experiment. I have a sales page for this course that I'm secretly kind of launching now, not so secretly, and I'm going to make it. But I'm curious to see if anyone out there is like me too. I have a few spots for my Instagram for Introverts course at 30% off, three exactly. And so I want to see if before I put out a sales page, if there's anyone out there who knows they want to sell more on Instagram, that they know that social media can be a platform where they actually make sales, not just make connections, not just build relationships, not just get out there for brand awareness, but that they actually want to make more money with Instagram. I want to help you do that. This course that we're doing is not just one of those DIY courses where you consume and binge a whole bunch of content, which is not what I want for you. It includes real life, real time group coaching with me. It's an 8-week program. There is some DIY component. You're going to be actually putting yourself out there. I know that's scary, but the cool thing is you can do that with me in this course for less than the cost of working with me one-on-one for a month, because I know that's something not a lot of you can afford. So if you want to check that out, the link is going to be in the show notes, but you're also more than welcome to DM me on Instagram. I know, so Meta, which it's also owned by Meta, so it's like double Meta. So if you're interested in the course, let me know. The first 3 people to buy will get the 30% off, and I'll make sure they have a code. And in fact, actually, I'll just tell you now, it's early, EARLY. There is a payment plan if you can't do the whole thing at one time, and all of the details are in the course notes itself. But I'm going to be building the course with you too. So I'm really looking for people who are willing to take a chance, willing to experiment, because honestly, that is what it takes to succeed on social media. You have to be willing to put yourself out there. You have to be willing to try new things, to do things even when you're a little bit scared, and then look at the data and adjust afterwards. So if you want my help, if you want some social media coaching with a little bit of mindset and life coaching in there too, then I'd love to see you in Instagram for Introverts. March is a big month for Verity Media and Social Media Magic. We have all kinds of awesome events going on to help you up your social media marketing game. And now more than ever, with the acquisition of TPT by IXL, all of the algorithm issues, and just the host of problems and changes that are coming with running an online business, it is more important than ever to have ways to build funnels and drive traffic to your offers that are either hosted on your website or at least hosted on a platform you can control. And that is a big focus. We're going to show you how to do that with Instagram throughout the month of March. You can come join one of our 30-minute workshops. They're only $7, they're pitch free, and you'll come away with tangible, practical tips. And if you're in the Content Club, you get an even better deal because you get access to all of these recordings from the workshops in the Value Vault. If you're not already in the Content Club, just DM me content on Instagram and I'll show you where to go and how to join. We'd love to see you in there. We also have a 3-day challenge happening March 28th through 30th, 2023. So if you're not sure what you need to focus on yet when it comes to your Instagram marketing, the challenge will be great because we're going to go over the foundations of setting up and optimizing your profile and helping you figure out exactly what to post and when to start driving traffic to your resources with Instagram. Are you ready? You can find all of the information in the show notes of this episode, or you can DM me on Instagram over at Brittany Verlenich. Now let's get on with the show. Hello and welcome to the Social Media Magic Podcast, the perfect podcast for TPT sellers, teacherpreneurs, and teacher business owners who consider themselves to be introverts. Each episode shares all kinds of ideas, tips, tactics, and strategies to help you make more sales and grow your community on social media. Without further ado, let's get on to today's episode. Welcome back to the Social Media Magic Podcast. I'm your host, Brittany Verlenich. I'm a content strategist, social media manager, and an overall marketing nerd. And I'm glad you're here. I'm glad that you're taking a chance on this episode and on me. And for that, I am so grateful. I hope you get a ton of value from this episode. Today, I am answering a prickly question. Does your number of followers on Instagram still matter for your business in 2023? And as a follow-up question, did it ever matter? My answer is kind of, it depends. And I know that's a hard answer. And some of you are probably going to stop the episode right now, and that's fine. But I encourage you to listen to this whole episode because depending on where you are in business and what your goals are right now in this season of your business, getting more followers might matter to you. And also, I'm going to share some ideas and tactics to make it so that you can get the most out of your Instagram following because you can have tens or even hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram and not be making any money. And oppositely, you could have less than 1,000 followers like me as of when I'm recording this and be making more than a full-time income. So let's dive in, shall we? Let's answer that first question. Does it matter to have a lot of Instagram followers anymore in 2023 if you have a small business? And I said it depends. So let's break down the different kinds of businesses there are and start with the people who I think are most likely listening to the show based on my conversations I've had with you, events I've spoken at, and etc. If you have a digital product business, so if you're a TPT seller, if you are a creator on stores like Etsy or Amazon, marketplaces, I should say, sorry, not stores, then I would say to a degree, yes, because you have a volume-based business. When your resources are only $1, $3, $5, $10, $20, then yes, you want to have a lot of people in your audience. Yes, like you want to have more followers, but I'm putting followers with an asterisk there because just because you have more followers on Instagram specifically does not mean you're going to get more sales. And that is really the equation with everything, right? Because one thing I've even said before is, let's take my email list, for example. A lot of people will say, oh, you need an email list. Once you grow your email list, you're going to see results. No, not necessarily, because you can have 10,000 people on an email list, and if you never send them an email, you'll never get results. And if you send crappy emails, you won't get good results, right? So there's a lot of conditional statements that have to be met in order for something to be true. And we have to be looking at data. We have to be looking at what's worked for us in the past, what's not working, and to be able to make those data-driven decisions to be able to get results. And it's the same thing with your Instagram following. So if you have a digital product-based business, then I would say, yes, you are going for volume as much as possible. I would say start ads as soon as you can too, just so you can get more people, more eyes on your resources, on your landing pages, etc. And we're very lucky because if you are a digital product creator, especially in the teacher space at least, you have a really low cost per lead. And there are other people who are listening to this episode wishing they could pay less than $2, $3 a lead. I mean, we're talking if you are in the B2B space, like you're a business coach, you could be paying $15 a lead for ads. So just putting that out there, that if you are in the place where you are a TPT seller or creator of small printables on Etsy, you are in a great place, my friend. You could experiment with ads earlier than probably people in other niches. I want to add a caveat to that. A lot of people in the teacher creator space have multiple arms of their business or maybe even multiple brands and businesses that they're managing. So you might be creator for a teachers pay teacher store, but then you also have some kind of service you offer. So maybe completely separate. So maybe like you're also a freelancer and you do digital product photography, which makes sense because that's probably a skill that you've developed from being a seller, maybe, maybe not. And if that's the case, then you might really not care about how many followers you have if you are going to focus on the service that you're providing. Because I've said this before, if you're a freelancer or a virtual assistant or a service provider, it doesn't matter so much if you have tens or thousands of followers. It's great if you do because you have more of an audience to pull from, especially if you decide you want to offer some kind of digital products later, like maybe you started as a freelancer first. But you can only ever scale so much by providing a one-on-one service, right? Like there's only so many working hours in a day. So it doesn't matter for you so much for your service providing freelance VA offer if that's what you're going to focus on. Do followers matter? I would say they matter a little more if you have a high volume based business with a low ticket offer like TPT resources. Matters a little less if you're a VA or service provider or a freelancer who can only serve so many people at a time. Now, if you decide that you want to scale to an agency or start offering courses and things, then it's a little different. So I'm going to get to that next. If you are also, or maybe instead, a course creator or a membership owner or someone who runs masterminds, maybe you run group programs, then I would say, yes, you want to grow your audience because your program, course, whatever is terminal most likely. Unless you have a lot of smaller courses, then you kind of run maybe closer to a low ticket model where you have high volume, which I guess you'd have high volume anyway. If you have those kinds of programs where they take a course for 3 months or they do a DIY course, but it's kind of more expensive. Once they're done with that course, there's really nowhere else for them to go unless you have another course, membership, or program that follows up with that, right? So maybe you have a course, and after they do the course, there's a back-end membership they can join to get more support. Then great. I mean, you have a funnel from your course to your membership, but there's only so many kind of programs that you can take them through on their journey until they get the transformation they need, right? And that's great. If someone goes through your stuff and they're done, they don't need any more support, you've done an awesome job. Sometimes I think we've kind of done a bad job in this marketing online space that we're encouraging people to just create more offers just for the sake of offers for people. If we get them a transformation even sooner, that's better, right? If we can solve the problem faster for them, having them spend less money and spending less time, oh my gosh, you're like a wizard. That's amazing. We love that. But you might be solving different problems for them at different stages in their journey. And if so, that is okay too. But you need to be thinking about eventually that person is not going to be a customer probably anymore. They might still follow you, they might still love your stuff, but they won't have anything else to offer unless you're going to keep pumping out offers. And in that case, you're going to need to get in front of new leads. And so having more followers helps with that, or more people in your audience. Because remember, followers themselves are not leads. A lead is someone who's explicitly expressed interest in what you have going on. Just because someone has opted in to see more of your content on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or Twitter or whatever does not necessarily mean they're interested in buying your thing. However, when you have more people in a Facebook group or following you, you have a higher chance to convert those people to something else. I don't like the word convert. I actually hate it for marketing, but it's the best word there is. Unless you know a better one, let me know. So yes, to an extent, having more people in your audience, more followers can be helpful. It does something else for you though. Humans are tricky, fickle creatures. I don't know why we're like this. I have done this. I do this less now because I am intentionally retraining my brain not to do it. But just pay attention to your own behavior when you go to someone's profile. What do you look at? Where do your eyes go? Because I'll tell you, the people at Instagram study this stuff. They probably spent years in development figuring out where our eye movements go, what our brains look for to make those micro decisions of whether or not we're going to follow someone. I would be willing to bet money for most people listening that you look at the followers someone has. And it's nothing to feel ashamed of if you do. And if you're saying, I don't do that, pay attention and see. Because just human nature, when we see that a lot of people like something or follow somebody, for some reason that builds credibility in our minds that person knows what they're talking about. And it doesn't necessarily mean that. There are a lot of people who have a lot of followers who aren't necessarily accurate or good at what they do, or I should say the best at what they do. There might be someone else who's way better, more of an expert, but they're just not as known as they are. But this person has figured out how to get more reach with whatever message they're saying, and they're probably really clear in that message. So there is a psychological benefit of having more followers because it builds social proof. And I'm sure some of you are hearing that and going, oh no, I was hoping that you'd tell me followers don't matter. My answer is kind of, it depends. But I will say that when you have more followers, you tend to get more opportunities. This is kind of for my teacher creator friends, but also for anyone who's interested in affiliate marketing or brand deals or sponsored posts. Companies do want to see that you have some followers. It's not the only metric. They're also looking at the reach of your posts. They're also looking at your engagement percentages. They're looking at a million of other things like how much clout do you have in the industry? Do you have media coverage? All this other stuff. But if you have more followers, even if that is just the thing that gets you in the door to an interview, to a discovery call, to someone to look at your sales page, for someone to go to your resource, it helps. It really does help. It's almost like when you think about elite degrees or like elite schools. I mean, how often do people check? I actually don't know. Maybe they do when they're hiring. It's like, oh, you went to Harvard. They don't know how you did at Harvard. You could have gotten really bad grades at Harvard. Who knows? But because you went, that gets you in the door for an interview for a job, right? Whether or not you get the job is dependent on a myriad of other things, but it gets you in the door for an interview. And you can think of it like that. It gets the person in the door to the next step. So what do you think? What are your reactions right now? How are you feeling about hearing this? Because there's so much about entrepreneurship and business that is so mental. It's like, it's all a mindset game. How are you feeling about hearing that having more followers might be important? Pay attention to that feeling. I don't want you to wallow in it or dwell in it, but just pay attention to it. Do you feel excited about the challenge for that? Maybe you already have a lot of followers and you're thinking, okay, I can actually use my following on social media to do some good. Or are you hearing that and feeling defeated and deflated like, oh, I only have X amount of followers and what am I going to do? How am I going to grow that following? But I just want to encourage you for a second. I noticed I didn't say a number. I said X amount of followers. You could have 10,000 followers and feel like you don't have enough. Isn't that wild? Someone else is hearing that and being like, oh, I only have 500 followers. Or someone else is saying, I only have 15,000 followers. Whatever you're at, don't let your worth as a human be involved with any metric, whether that's how much money you make, whether that's the reach of your post, whether that's how many followers you have, subscribers on your email list. That does not make you good at what you do. It's not a determinant. It just means how many people are seeing your stuff, how many people are buying your stuff. We need to detach our value and worth as humans from how much money we make and these other metrics we're tracking. Once you do that, it gets a lot easier to actually look at the numbers and make those data-driven decisions because they're just numbers. It's neutral. It's not a big deal. The quicker you do that, the faster you're going to see success. If you liked this episode, I'd love to hear from you. You can find me on Instagram over at Brittany Verlenich, or you can come join the Facebook group if you're not there already, facebook.com/groups/audience and authority, or you can search Social Media Magic on Facebook and you'll probably find it. And if you want to dive deeper into this stuff, because social media is not just art and content, although it is, social media is art and communication. I stand by that, but it is an art and a science. I am constantly testing and experimenting and looking at the results of those things and making data-driven decisions to change it up and try something new. And I'd love to show you how to do that. Instagram is not just for outgoing, gregarious, beautiful girls on yachts and swimsuits, okay? That is the image I had for some reason for the longest time. And I'm so sad that it kept me from being myself on Instagram and showing up and being able to help people because I have something to say. I have a lot to say, actually. And I kept myself from doing that on social media for so long because I thought it's only for X type of person, but it's not. So whatever you're saying in your head is, well, maybe I haven't gotten to where I want to be yet because I don't have X, or because I'm not this, or because I'm introverted, because I'm shy, because I don't like video. It's time to stop that, my friend. It's time to stop that. Even if you never make a video on Instagram, you can still grow an account. You can still grow your audience, but you do have to put the energy and intentionality into what you are willing to do to get the kind of results and success that you want to have and serve people in the way that you want to do so you can make a difference and make more money. That's what I want for you. So if you want that too, check out my Instagram for Introverts course that's open right now. Get that link in the show notes. If you're hearing this in real time, I always reward people who buy things first. I think there's something so important about like encouraging those ride or die people from the beginning. So if you're one of those, you're listening to me early on, you're going to get the best deal for the courses. So if you're curious, even just go check it out. Links in the show notes, or DM me on Instagram and ask me about my Introverts Instagram course. I'll talk to you about it. I'll let you know if I think you're a good fit. Saying it's a course is honestly kind of hard because it's more than that. If you're listening in real time, I'm giving coaching to these people. I'm looking at your analytics. I'm looking at your bio. We're tweaking things in real time. We're not just going and clicking play and basically watching YouTube it with a password. I don't like that. This is not just content that you're buying. I am not trying to give you more to learn to stuff in your head. I'm giving you actionable tips and a strategy that you can use right now because you do have something important to say that people need to hear, and you can use social media to amplify that message. I am passionate about that. I know you have something to say, and I know that once you get really clear on what is you have to say and who needs to hear it and how that relates to what you're offering in your store, with your course, with your membership, with your coaching offer, whatever it is you have going on, you're going to show up and show out and shine. I'm so excited about it. I hope to hear from you soon. I hope to see you in my Instagram for Introverts course. Talk soon.